Let's do it!
4 years ago, I reviewed the first Fairly OddParents game, and safe to say from memory, it was...
Fun this weekend! Fun this...
content. And ever since then, everyone and their mothers have asked me to cover the sequel, SHOWDOwn, considering breaking the rules was so... And supposedly this sequel is...
This game, so far, I've gotten more requests for than anything else. And since I just passed 10,000 subscribers, and a few hundred because I've been slacking on this, I think it's about time you give the people what they want. You know, let me stand up for this one though, yeah. Hey, look at that, I'm using my legs.
This B-roll footage is brought to you by my love and thanks for viewers like you.
Thank you!
The plot of this game is essentially Timmy's TV goes kaput when he's about to watch the season finale of Crash Nebula, and he can't even wish to watch it since almost all the wishing abilities have been disabled since someone stole the Royal Jewel.
The Royal Jewel has tremendous magical power. It is the second most powerful magic known to fairies.
And am I to guess that it's fallen into the wrong hands?
But, wait, what about the big wand? You know, the thing that powers all the wands in Fairy World. It's like the main power source. It's never mentioned here, but I'm assuming it's working fine. So, you guys are in jeopardy because your second most powerful source isn't working, and yet the first one is working fine, presumably?
So right off the bat, this game is an immediate improvement from the first from the cutscenes alone. Where the graphics from the original looked so ungodly copy-paste from the flat 2D to 3D animation, this one still has that, but you can definitely tell they learned from their mistakes and gave the dimensional conversion some personality. Not to mention the sound quality has improved by a lot, so much so that I forgot to even address it in the original video. More so with how the voiceover clips sound like they're being pulled from a compressed Skype call.
Maybe I should have a bath. It's been 3 weeks. I'm in charge and you're nothing. Got it?
Now we're spinning around in trouble in Timmy's dreams. Whee!
Yeah, but...
He says yes!
And if you come near my daughter, guess what? Consequences will never be the same. You lying bunch of pricks!
Not only has the voiceover quality improved, but the cutscenes are also a lot more cinematic, as if they were editing an actual episode of the show, unlike the original where stuff just happens.
No! I'm his babysitter. I'll take those. Oh no, Vicky! She's gonna eat my ingredients! Justice will never rescue you, utensil-wielding floozy! You're a washout, ain't you, Olga?
Hey, good cheesy line, Timmy. Keep it up.
Woof. I must be losing my touch.
Huh. I was wondering why the game came in this case.
They've gone from the stiffest animation possible to, at some points, the most reactive ones in some very bizarre places. And judging from these angles and jiggle physics, I think it's safe to say this game is a little thirsty. There's definitely a lot more polish and zing, if you will, to this game, since the music also changes up whether you're walking, fighting an enemy, or running. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Timmy moved at a moderately decent pace in the first game, but now you're given the option of either walking, or rather, skipping slow, or doing a Fred Flintstone. Mainly for some added challenge when you're under a time constraint to mostly press switches that activate conveyor belts or what have you, and run there until time runs out. Not gonna lie, this game had some decent challenge every now and then. Nothing that's actually really challenging, but something I expect a little more from a Fairly OddParents game, I guess? I don't know. And safe to say, the platforming here actually feels like a game, as opposed to how clunky and broken the first game seemed. Like in the original, Timmy had way too much air, but somehow felt really heavy for some reason, which doesn't really make sense, but it works just fine here. And the frame rate is actually at a much smoother, consistent pace, where the frame rate in the original was so sloppy that it made the game a lot more difficult for me when I was younger. Like, if the game couldn't keep up, then my tiny 8-year-old brain couldn't either. They've also changed up a lot of the collecting mechanics from the first. Your whole goal in the first game was to collect 5 stars every few times to wish for some type of power or gadget to get past certain obstacles. And in that game, you were restricted to 1 power-up per section of the level. And even if not not by a lot, this game improved on all of those. In the original, your equivalent of coins were little crowns that give you a 1-up every 100 you collect, but considering this game has unlimited continues, they've now been changed into coins so that you can use them to buy power-ups, which is a good idea in theory, but in execution I only found myself using the longer running time. I'm sorry for everything else that has to collect dust on the shelf. You still have to collect 3 stars to equip yourself, but thankfully you're not restricted by 1 each section because you can easily switch between the 3 whenever you want, which gives you even more reason to backtrack in certain areas to see what you've missed, whether it's collecting extra coins or collectible cards that occasionally call you slurs.
Hey!
As far as combat goes, there's not much different from the first game, but here you can ground pound enemies to finally put that small body and giant head to good use. The game's narrative can somewhat fall into the mystery genre, as each level, the characters are slowly putting the pieces together. But the further down the line, the mystery unfolds, and honestly, I was assuming they were going to connect this with the anti-fairies, since the source of the problem is coming from Channel 13, and constantly dropping hits of being unlucky.
If any kid playing is a fan of the show, how can you not think of the anti-fairies?
Pink-hatted boy and his godparents.
That sounds like Oberon!
No, it doesn't. Sounds like Rob Paulson.
And even when they do see the shadow, much like the anti-fairies, he's like an opposite personality projection of another fairy. So again, how can you not make that connection?
That's really getting old.
Well, after all that, I can safely say that this game is a vast improvement over the first one.
There's a greater variety of gadgets that expand the gameplay and puzzle solving, 3D animation and sound editing is a lot more clear and on point to the show, and truthfully, it just feels like there was a lot more passion put into this one. I probably would have loved this game if I got it when I was a kid, but up until now, for the last 18 years, I've had to settle for breaking the rules.
Well, you know, change is nice after a while. And sure, I wasn't really feeling up to making a video about this game lately, but because I passed 10,000 subscribers, and because that is like the most requested thing I've ever gotten, I feel like I owed it to you guys to make this video. And thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers, and you know what, with your help, let's see if we can get another 10,000 or at least 1,000, I don't know, I'm trying my best. And I'm gonna try my best to get more content out to you guys now that I have this growing audience, and just thank you so much for all you guys have done these past few years, and have a great day.